I want to show you another great spy tool that you may want to consider adding to your arsenal of weapons to use for competitive intelligence. This is SimilarWeb. Very, very powerful product, very powerful service, very similar to AdBeat in a way, but also very different because it can search and find different types of data on site. So I've done a quick search here for Ryan Deiss's Survival Life, that very successful business. And you can come in here and see the total visits for date ranges, the global ranks, country ranks, category ranks. We can see growth on the site. We can see traffic by country. We can see how the traffic sources break down. So if we go in here and we click referrals, this is referring sites. So traffic that's coming from other sites and who it's coming from. We can look in here and see ranked. They rank 540 sites that are sending traffic to this Survival Life site. And we can see what percentage of that traffic comes from each of the sites. So this one, Homestead and Survival.com, is sending 7.87% of the traffic, of the referred traffic, to that Survival Life site. So if we go and visit that site really fast, we can see it looks like it's some kind of blog with do-it-yourself types of projects. Let's click on one of these blog posts. Whoops, trying to load some ad. And if we scroll down, we'll probably find, and there it is. So this is an ad for the Survival Life site that we were just talking about, what we're looking at, Ryan Deiss's site. And this is where they're advertising for the site. But these are all the other sites that are advertising and sending traffic to that Survival Life site. How much traffic they're sending, what types of categories these sites are in. Now, this is important to note, these types of categories, because a lot of the ad networks rank sites by category. Now, if you go into business in a certain niche, you may find that news and media sites convert very well for your type of thing. In fact, I know that these survival types of products work very well, for whatever reason, on conservative news sites. Apparently, older male Republican guys are the most likely demographic to buy that kind of prepper stuff. That just happens to be the ideal target customer. Now, all kinds of customers probably buy it, but the majority are in a certain older age range, I believe. They're like conservatives, and they're even in certain parts of like the United States, even though this is an international type of a business. But we talked about demographics before in the past lessons, and it's very important that you find a way to build that exact customer avatar, so to speak, the exact ideal type of customer, because then when you buy ads like on Facebook, you can really target them by age, by political affiliation, all those things. And so it's important to know that. So you'll want to pay attention to things like these categories of sites where the referral traffic comes from and converts from. But we can see all these sites are sending traffic to this Survival Life site, driving sales. And we talked about it. I told you it was kind of like a bonus lesson where I talked to you about that strategy where I helped somebody go from about 4 million in revenue to over 20 million in revenue, where I taught them how to buy up sites that were sending, good profitable traffic, because it was cheaper to just buy the site and own it and make those sales for free once they bought it every day, rather than buying advertising from them. Well, you can come in here to these referral sites, and some of these are big and they get a lot of traffic, but you could certainly come down the list of ways. And like we're looking at like the top 100. There's 540 that they are recording, so we can go kind of into a deeper page here. But all these sites are potential acquisition targets. Once you build a business that's making a profit, once we get to this, when we validate that it works, when we launch it and then start to scale it, when you start to get money coming into the business and you want to reinvest to buy more traffic, buy more ads, to raise the amount of money you're making every day, a great thing to do is to buy these sites, buy these proven content sites that you're reaching through the content network of Google, and you're looking at your analytics and you're seeing which ones are actually sending a lot of sales. I talked about it. You can go to them direct, try to buy other advertising, try to get it cheaper than what you pay because they have to pay a cut to Google. But ultimately, when you really figure out your metrics, You want to start buying up little websites and just scaling up your traffic and your business by building a little empire of acquiring those website assets. That's really going to be the future of marketing online, is acquiring websites and even flipping them, buying and selling them. There's already some of that going on now, but I think more and more of that is really going to happen. But this is SimilarWeb.com. It's very powerful. You can find out all kinds of stuff about websites and competitors. You can, look at keywords. You can look at, ad copy. You can look at all kinds of stuff. It's about $199 a month for their kind of standard basic account, which is what you're looking at here. They do have a free account, but it's very limited in the data that they'll show you. So go to SimilarWeb.com, play around with it, see what you might want to have for your needs. But it's just yet another great spy tool to have in the arsenal in case you ever really, can justify paying for it to do some research to help you make some money.